Welcome to Deep Wells, where we are continually seeking to explore ancient insights into enduring questions. And if you have consumed this content, if you're at all familiar with this podcast, you know that we've talked about a wide range of topics. We've talked about health, we've talked about the possibility of life on other planets, we've talked about transhumanism, we've talked about philosophy and theology and so many different things. But as a Christian, as the host, I'm thinking to myself, you know what would be important would be to do a series on the core of Christianity, the central message of Christianity in a very direct way, hopefully a simple way, one that's easy to follow, simple but not simplistic, that will be interesting to you, informative to you. Many of you that are viewers and listeners of the podcast are already from a Christian background, but I want to make sure that our message is clear to those that maybe are inquirers into Christian faith, those that maybe have never heard what the message of Christianity is. And so this series is going to be focused on the core message of Christianity, the Christian gospel. What is the Christian gospel? And there's many ways that you can look at this. The Christian gospel really is the big story of God's dealings with humanity, and we'll get into all that means, but we find this story documented in the Christian scriptures, in the Bible. And there's many ways that this has been expressed. There's many ways that this story has been told. It is one story, one coherent narrative. There are many different frameworks, many different lenses through which a person could assess and express, articulate the Christian message, the gospel. But I've picked a couple that I think are simple. They each have 4 points and they really tie together. The first one is the narrative arc, if you will, God's creation, humanity's corruption, Christ's substitution, and our restoration. Those 4 pictures, those 4 snapshots, if you will. Once again, God's creation, humanity's corruption, Christ's substitution, and our restoration. Another way that this has been expressed that ties right in with that is simply creation, fall, redemption, and restoration. So essentially the story arc, the narrative arc is starting with God's creation of humanity, the problem of sin, the problem of evil, what God did about that, and then how that affects us, how that impacts us today. So we're going to take one of those points in each of the episodes of this series. So today I want to ask the question, the theme question being, what is the Christian gospel? But we want to start out and discuss that first point, creation, God's creation. We find the story of creation in the opening words of the Bible, maybe some of the most famous words in the Bible, the very first words, the opening words of Genesis go as follows. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So the first thing that we see is that God created everything. He's the creator of the visible and invisible facets of our universe. God is the creator of everything. And the writer of Genesis goes on to describe how the earth was without form and was void, and that darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters. And it says in a very dramatic fashion, and then God said, "Let there be light." And it goes through this series of 6 days of creation. 6 days of creation. Now, I think that in our modern times, this is somewhat of a hot question that people ask, what is the meaning of the Genesis account? Are these 6 days to be taken as literal 24-hour days as we know them? Or is it more symbolic? Is it more poetic? Is it allegorical? Well, it's interesting. That's a very live question today because of scientific discoveries, cosmology, the study of the universe, the study of the cosmos, the study of our own planet. And so, on the scientific side, there seems to be a lot of evidence that the earth is very, very old, that life has existed here for a long time, and that would, on the face of it, seem to be thrown against the biblical account. So it's interesting because this is not a new question about the nature or the interpretation that should be given to these verses, these words in Genesis chapter 1. Way back in the 3rd century, the 300s, the 4th century, the 5th century, way back even as far as the 3rd century in the 200s, this was being considered. And we have some that thought the interpretation should be taken very literally, and others very early on that felt like this was allegorical, symbolical language. And so on the more literalist side, you have someone like Basil of Caesarea. We've talked about him on the podcast before, but he lived in the 300s and he held a more literalist view. Some might say a fundamentalist view. He felt that the chronology and the descriptions in the Genesis creation account were literal 6 days as we know them. And of course, we could say, well, okay, Basil didn't need to have any other interpretation because the science of the day was not pointing him in a different direction. There was no contradiction, as it were, between a literal approach to the Bible and the interpretation of the Bible and the scientific findings of his day. But interestingly, there were others that early, even earlier than Basil, in the case of Origen of Alexandria, there were others that, without the seeming constraints of modern science, already in those early centuries were saying that the account in Genesis should be taken as poem, as an allegory. Origen, of course, came from an allegorical school. We won't get into that today. But in a writing called On First Principles, in the 4th book, he discusses this. St. Augustine of Hippo also saw this as an allegorical description of how God ordered the universe that had theological meaning. Now, I mention that because it is such a hot button issue today. But what I would like to express is that whether you see creation as being superintended by God and having been carried out over a very long period of time, or whether you believe that God created the world in a literal 6-day period, the point that all Christians agree upon is the core that we need to agree upon, and that is very simple, that God created everything, good, and this is key, that God created humanity in his image and in his likeness. In Christian theology, however we arrived at the creation of humanity, the Christian contention is that God created human beings. He created humanity, mankind, in his image, according to his likeness, a very unique creation, an exceptional creation. And we find that also in that very first chapter of Genesis, verse 26. Very famous words, very important words for Christian theology and our understanding of the gospel. It says, "Then God said, let us make mankind, in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion." And he goes on to list all the species over which mankind would exercise dominion. And then in verse 27, it says, So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. And so we see this equality of dignity for male and female, man and woman, both, despite their uniqueness, created in the image according to the likeness of God. And so we see that beautifully described. And then it goes on to say in verse 28, then God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion. So it's very interesting in the Christian understanding that humanity is endowed with this divine spark, this divine image, this reflection of the Creator. And we see that in many ways. We see it through our ability to reason. We see that in our inherent awareness of the spiritual world. We see that in the inborn desire that human beings have to understand existence and meaning beyond themselves, beyond their time, beyond their immediate needs. We don't see a similar impulse in any other part of the creation, at least earthside. But we do see that over and over again, manifested in a myriad of ways in humanity. Our desire to create, our creativity, our desire to create art and music and story. All of these point to the divine image that has been placed within us. And so that's the first stop that we make in the recounting, the retelling of the Christian story, the Christian gospel. What is it that Christians believe about God, about themselves, and about the world that we inhabit? The first and important thing is that God created all things, visible and invisible, and that mankind, humanity, male and female, regardless of race or background or any other factor, any other thing that might distinguish us from one another, in our humanity, we carry that divine image, that divine likeness. And that was by God's intention. Christians agree upon that. They may express it in different ways. They may nuance it in different ways, but at the core of Orthodox Catholic Christian faith, there is that understanding that God created all things. He created them good with a purpose. He created all things as an expression of his love, and that ultimately he created mankind in his image and in his likeness. And we see that expressed in the plan that God had for humanity. We touched on it just a moment ago when God gave this mandate to humanity in the very beginning and said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. So we were created to live with God and to reign alongside him over the world, in which he placed humanity in a very special place with a great, great amount of responsibility. So that's the Christian understanding of God's creation. But I want to delve into, in the next episode, this great question. You know, Deep Wells is about answering these enduring questions and supplying ancient insights. And you don't get any more ancient than Genesis and that Genesis account. And we see, and we will see in our next episode, the Christian explanation of the evil that we see in our world. If God is so good and he created everything good, where did everything go wrong? And what would God do to fix it?